Hey, everybody, this is Lynn Johnson, the co-founder and CEO of Spotlight Girls, and I am here right now with two of my favorite folks. I am with Jenny Kassan, attorney and coach and consultant and the owner of Lift Economy Law, and the co-founder along with Ryan Honeyman of the Force for Good Fund. Ryan is also a partner with Lift Economy and the author of the B Corp Handbook. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hey, Lynn.
Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank
Sure.
you.
So, since you are, let's just jump right in. Since you're both the founders of the Force for Good Fund, let's talk about that. What is the Force for Good Fund and why is it so needed right now? Do you want to start, Ryan?
Sure. Yeah, the Force for Good Fund is the world's first accelerator and fund for women and people of color owned, high impact, best for the world B corporations. And so for those of you who don't know, B corporations are a certification similar to fair trade or organic, but it's for the whole company. So there's companies like Patagonia and Ben & Jerry's and King Arthur Flour and Etsy and Warby Parker. So it's a global movement of people using business as a force for good. And we're looking to accelerate and bring more high impact businesses like Lynn's into the B Corp movement.
Yeah, and I'll just add that another really unique thing about it is that we are going to design our investments into the companies that we invest in a way that really fits with their particular goals and values and growth trajectory, because we don't want to pressure our companies to do things that don't fit with those things. So we think that we can make a really good return without using the high growth model where you're really pressured to sell the company as a way for the investors to get paid back.
So Jenny, I've known you now for over a year. I've been working with you. Jenny is an incredible coach working with female entrepreneurs in terms of helping us find the right money from the right investors. And can you talk a little bit more about what you've noticed around the women entrepreneurs that you work with?
Yeah, well, one of the first things I noticed is that a lot of women entrepreneurs, it doesn't even occur to them to raise money from investors. And I've been doing a lot of thinking about why that is. And I think one of the reasons is there's a lot of misinformation out there about how investors can come into your business. And a lot of people think, oh, if I'm not the next, Snapchat or the next company that's going to be acquired by Google or Microsoft, then I don't qualify to raise money from investors. And I've been lucky enough to work with entrepreneurs who have raised money in lots of creative ways and compensated their investors in lots of creative ways. So one thing is just for women to know, yes, you can raise like $100,000, $200,000 from people who love you, who will be patient, who will invest in a way that really fits with your plans for your business. So that's one thing. There's other things too. Unfortunately, there are some horror stories out there about some professional investors that are quite sexist and racist. I hate to say it, but you do hear these stories. And there are also studies that show, in fact, I was just looking at a study that shows that they had men and women pitching the exact same idea. And the men were 8 times more likely to be funded. So unfortunately, there is that as well, which often can make women feel less comfortable about going out and raising money. But I do believe that if you target the right investors, you won't have those problems.
And how did you connect then with Lift Economy? And where did the idea for the fund get incubated?
Yeah, so I was working on my own as a sole practitioner, attorney, and coach. And that was great, but I always, dreamt of having colleagues that I could work with that had similar values that could complement the services that I provide to my clients. And I had known Lift Economy for a while, and they were really awesome in that they invited me to join them. And it was just such a perfect fit because I specialize really in legal strategy and fundraising strategy. And then they have all these other skills that they can bring to my clients that I'm not as good at. And then of course I bring the legal skills to the Lift Economy clients. So it's working out really well. And so because we've been working together for a while, we've been commiserating about the fact that a lot of our favorite entrepreneurs like you, Lynn, struggle somewhat with raising money. Not that you can't do it and not that you aren't doing it, but it's not easy. And part of the reason for that is, there are funders out there. There are quite a lot of funders out there that, don't really know what their options are in terms of being able to invest in small businesses. There are larger, more professional funders that have this model that I call the Silicon Valley model, which they're only interested in investing in really high growth businesses. So there's just all these challenges out there, and it drives us nuts. And so we decided, darn it, we're going to create a fund to address all those problems. Not that there aren't other funding sources out there. There are, but, we want to help that along and be a leader in that movement to creatively invest in mission-driven businesses in a way that lets them really stay true to their goals and values and not be pressured to do things that just aren't right for them.
That's great. Ryan, I'm curious too, your path to this. Like I mentioned in the introduction, you wrote the book on B Corps that I am reading and devouring and loving, and really excited to jump into my certification process. How did you discover the B Corp movement, and how did that get you to Lift Economy? And tell us more too about what Lift Economy does.
Sure. So yeah, my path was sort of kind of similar to Ginny's. I was a sole practitioner for many years, and I was doing general sustainability consulting, which I think the term back in the day, like 2008 or something, was like going green, which I don't think many people use green anymore. So I was doing sustainability consulting, and then found out about Lift Economy and our other business partners, Kevin, Sean, and Aaron, and started collaborating with them. And so it was just sort of, you find your people, kind of like when we met Ginny, and then when we met you, Lynn. It's just like something just works. Yeah. And so what I was bringing to Lyft was the sort of B Corp certification. So helping companies take the assessment process, become B Corporation, and then once they're certified, to help them maximize the value of their B Corp certification. Because there's a great community of 2,000 certified B Corps all over the world, from places like Kenya and Mongolia and China and South America, Chile, Argentina. So it was really looking at how can we make this global movement more cohesive and connected. And so that was sort of the impetus behind the book, was to really help the movement come along a little ways. And then Lift Economy, our mission is to create, model, and share a locally self-reliant economy that works for the benefit of all life. Mm-hmm. And so it's really looking at how do we redesign the economy on sort of the 500-year plan, because we want it to happen in 10 years or 5 years, but like realistically, there's going to be some major changes that need to happen. And so what the Force for Good Fund we're looking at doing is really taking companies that are doing amazing work that sort of fit this model of what does business need to look like on the 500-year scale, and then helping them, get the vision, culture, strategy, operations really set, help them certify as a B Corporation, and then have them maintain their high impact to be what B Lab or the B Corp movement would refer to as best for the world, so the highest scoring B Corporations in the top 10%. And the reason is because we don't really have a lot of time to twiddle our thumbs anymore. Climate crisis and what's going on in politics. Diversity, inclusion, Black Lives Matter, and so this is very relevant. And yeah, the debates, yes. And so it's been just this fund has been a great tool to help accelerate almost all of these different things that we see that need to be in the world in one fund. So it's been really amazing so far.
It's so exciting. It feels like I can kind of feel the swell of it all. You know what I mean? Like it's just like this. You can feel the movement, is what makes it exciting for me. So obviously you're here because you and the Force for Good Fund has expressed interest in working with my business, Spotlight Girls, and besides the fact that I am a woman of color founder, what was it that attracted you to what we are doing? Why are we a good fit for what you might be doing? Why might we be a good fit for what you're doing?
Mm-hmm. There's so many reasons, but I think, what Ryan was saying about best for the world companies, I feel like Spotlight Girls really fits that. There's some B Corps that, all B Corps are totally awesome, but there's some B Corps where you look at kind of their main line of business and it's pretty mainstream. It's not necessarily moving the needle on making the world a better place. And then there's some B Corps that everything about the business, it's inherent in the business that they're making the world a better place and doing something that is so needed in the world, like right now. And that's how we feel about Spotlight Girls. I mean, women and girls are, as I'm realizing more and more as I work with a lot of women entrepreneurs, we still have a long way to go. As much progress as we've made, right, there's still a lot of discrimination happening, a lot of messages to young girls that really end up holding them back and maybe making them, potentially victims of violence or discrimination. And so I just feel like what you're doing is so needed in the world. And it's also, a successful business. You've been, it's really nice to be able to invest in a business that's been running for many years and has demonstrated success. So those are a couple of reasons. Ryan, if you have more to
add. I mean, I have a 2-year-old daughter, and so I can't wait until she's, what's the minimum age for your camps, Lynn?
6.
6, okay.
Yeah, 5 or 6.
Okay. So, and just having a 2-year and then having a daughter, I've always been intellectually aware that things are screwed up. I've always been a strong supporter of women's rights. And then when you have a daughter, you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It's messed up.
Yes.
And so for me, it was like very personal to say, what can I do now? She's only 2. I've only got a small window of time to fix everything in the economy, basically, before she gets to 18 or something. So I think this is a very needed service. This is a specific, amazing, a way to make money that also does good in the world. And I think that's what you're really doing, Lynn, is it's not a nonprofit model. This is, a business solving a needed challenge and doing it in a way that's, both making a big impact and making money. So it's a win-win-win.
Great. Yeah, I agree. I recently learned that we have, it's a relatively new term for me, which is we have proof of concept, which is what I was like, oh,
isn't that?
No, I know, but that was like, oh, right, that's confirmed. We've had camps for many years, and people pay for them, and people come back, and people like them, which means we have proof of concept. I'm like, oh, cool, that's cool. Right. So I think that what you were saying, Ryan, about kind of it's personal, right? Like it's so cool to be involved. I feel that way about your businesses, but Lift Economy, and Jenny, your consulting business, plus Lift Economy Law, to be partnered with businesses that are so deeply connected to like a heart space, right? Like you're doing this. Yeah, money is super important, and we're doing this because it's like what we have to do, which is so exciting. And we're like really honestly trying to make the world a better place, for our daughters and like for ourselves. And that's really awesome. As you are, as there are folks out there who are considering investing in our WeFunder campaign for Spotlight Girls, what would you tell them as they're considering? Do you have any advice or anything for them?
Yes. Well, I'll just say I personally have invested already. So I'm putting my money where my mouth is, and I don't invest a lot of money. I'm not a super wealthy person, but I feel like almost at least a majority of the population of our country is an investor. Not everyone thinks of themselves that way, but if you have a retirement account, if you have some money in a mutual fund, really, even if you have money in a bank, you are investing. You're making a choice about what you're going to be doing with your money. And a lot of us, I'll admit, I get kind of, I don't like to think about it. I like to say, oh yeah, I have my 401k over there, or my IRA account, and I'm just not going to think about it because it's too stressful. But, when someone gives me the opportunity to put some money into something that I know it's a great business, I know it's a successful business, I know the founder is totally passionate, i.e. you and Allison and your wife and co-founder, and it's all kind of a no-brainer to move some money out of Wall Street into businesses like yours, because I do read the Wall Street Journal every day because I work in finance, and there's some scary stuff in there. I mean, there's a lot of very highly paid professionals that are telling their clients to move their money out of Wall Street, because we've been sort of living in this crazy bubble created by globalization and the unicorns of the very highly overvalued companies, and a lot of people are predicting that it's not going to last. So maybe don't move all your money out of Wall Street, but certainly it's investing 101 to diversify your portfolio and put some money into a business that maybe you're the customer of, or maybe you're friends with the founder, or you just think the founder's really cool. That I try to do that as much as I can. So so I just think and the good news is there, it's a really a very fair return that Lynn is offering. So I'm excited to be an investor, not just for financial reasons, but also to, tell all my friends that I'm investing in this cool business, know that I'm kind of diversifying my nest egg. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah. And I would say, similar to Ginny, it's, I've heard some famous investors say you invest in the person, not necessarily the company. And so we would be investing in you, Lynn. And so I think that that's a big appeal of this is, it may be that the business model shifts slightly and like there's things that happen, but it's the person behind it. So I would really give, folks out there a strong stamp of approval for how amazing you are. And so I have a lot of confidence that anything that comes along, you'd be able to handle it.
Yeah.
So
and also there's another saying to invest in things you understand. And unfortunately, a lot of our money is in things that we don't understand. There's all kinds of crazy things going on Wall Street with there's computers that are trading. It's not even human beings. They're using algorithms. There's flash crashes. There's the financialization of things where they'll take one thing and bundle it into something else, and then they'll bundle that into something else and cut it into pieces. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Who really understands where their money is when you put it into like a mutual fund or something like that? So, your business model, it's very clear. You're helping girls to grow and have a wonderful time in the summer. And I know you're doing other things as well to grow the movement for girls and women's empowerment. It's very easy to understand, and it's working.
And there's the practical piece too of like, we provide programs for kids when parents, when they don't have school and parents have to work. Like, it's also like, there's also the practicalities of that. And that's such like a long time business model, right?
Yeah. You're not going to run out of the need for that.
Exactly. Exactly. And I love what you're saying about invest in what you understand, because there's also so much, out there, kind of venture capitalists are investing in like the next big thing, the next big invention. And, it's all about, which is exciting on one end, but it's also things that the regular person doesn't tend to understand. We're not like understanding what the next robot will do or whatever, or virtual reality or that kind of thing. And sometimes it's like, let's just invest in like my local camp, my local coffee shop, like what the things I understand, which is also
right. And I don't think everyone realizes that the venture capital model people who, so the way venture capital works is people who think they're very smart about investing, they raise money from a bunch of passive investors, they call them limited partners, and those people put their money into the fund, and then the VCs invest the money. And the average return to those investors, those limited partners, is 0 to negative. So don't think that if only I could have invested, if only I was super wealthy and I could have invested in Snapchat when it was small. Chances are, if you had invested with a VC, you would have lost all your money. The only people that get rich off that model on average is the VCs themselves, because they take fees. So I'd much rather invest in a business like yours where I know you, I trust you. You don't have this crazy model where you're like, well, we're just going to grow really fast and we're going to go online and we're going to take over the world.
Yeah. Right. And for every Snapchat, there's hundreds of other things that fail, right?
They totally fail.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to give you the last word, Ryan. I'm wondering about the big picture of this. So you talked earlier about investing in, how the Force for Good Fund is investing in women and entrepreneurs of color. And, Jenny talked a little bit about, why it's so important, what women are facing, the kind of barriers women are facing. And, you are a white man here in this conversation. And, why do you think it's so important for whether people invest in my business or some other local woman or person of color or whatever, why is that so important right now?
Well, I think a few things. One is that it's actually a better business. So in a way, nature loves diversity, right? There's this great analogy around the strongest systems in nature are ones that are diverse and there's different opinions and people. So if you have a homogenous 100 white man company, it's much more likely to fail than companies with diversity, inclusion, and different opinions. And so I think part of this is rooted in just what nature has shown over billions of years, is that diversity works and is needed to have a resilient economy and a resilient system. So that makes it a better investment for me, for one. Two, the B Corp movement itself is, I think there's been a lot of very passionate, forward-thinking, empathetic white people in the B Corp movement, which is good. It's it's better than being angry, hateful white people. But at the same time, we've been talking a lot about, hey, we need to build a new economy, and it's we need to actually bring more people into the movement so that we can expand, just basically expand horizons and learn about, basically make it so that the actual vision we're talking about is actually possible now. And so I think that is two pieces of really what I'm most excited about, is actually making it a stronger business by sort of replicating what is already shown to work, and then making this, just a more inclusive economy that's that can be more shared and enduring, but make it happen now instead of 500 years from now.
I love that. Make it happen now.
Yeah.
That's so great. If folks want to support the Force for Good Fund, how do they do that?
So you go to www.wefunder.com/forceforgood. So same website that Lynn is using to raise money. So check out wefunder.com/forceforgood.
Great. Thank you both so much. This has been, I always get so jazzed up when I talk to both of you, and I really appreciate it. And I will see you both soon.
Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you.